if you could just start, I thought a good idea would be sort of give me a bit of an overview of, when you got into this project, what the strategic process was for figuring how and why, first of all, that you were going to shoot HD, and then second of all, that you were going to use the Vipers, and third, that you were going to be tapeless.
Yeah, well, we had looked at shooting HD on Panic Room, but we'd been warned that there was no reliable HD that was ready to shoot a feature. And I'd seen the S2 and worked with the S2 in commercials and sort of had decided that was the way to go because of the random access and because the ability to, review. It never made sense to me to have a 444 camera that goes to any kind of compression tape format that you can't play back, so that you need to have the NC cable that goes to an NTSC deck to record your videotape, so you could have VTR playback. And also, the key thing was it was going to be a widescreen movie, and the Viper had a way of dealing with the anamorphosing of the 16 by 9 pixel array to give you full use of the 1920-1080 across the 237 aspect ratio. So the notion was we were going to finish in 235 or 237 or 239 or whatever the CinemaScope aspect ratio is, depending on who you talk to. Then it seemed to me like we wanted to be able to get as much resolution out of it as we could. I didn't want to crop it on top and bottom, because if you take, I don't know what the actual math is, and I've never done it, but if you take 1920 1080 and you crop the top and bottom by, I would think it would have to be like at least a third. It's not like you're starting in 3-perf or 4-perf even, where you've got a 4K image and you're cleaving it in half. You're kind of got a 2K image and you're throwing a third of it away. So it seemed to me like the way to go was the way of the Viper. And I'd worked with a lot of commercials, and I like the camera. It's small, it's light. And the trick on this was to keep it simple and make it fast.
When you were, over the last couple of years, when you were doing those commercials with the Viper, was it strategic? Like you were like, I'm going to work out a workflow and then apply it to my movie?
Yeah.
And what kinds of things over the course of those projects did you learn that have gotten applied to Zodiac, and what kinds of things maybe did you not learn that you had to pioneer on this movie?
Well, we didn't really have to pioneer anything. I mean, we sort of worked everything out. I mean, Steve Roach and Wayne Tidwell and Chris Burnham, and I'd been working with Claudia Miranda to shoot a lot of commercial stuff, and Harris was shooting the movie, so that was different. Not a learning curve, because there's not really that much you're going to teach Harris, but I think the familiarity curve, his getting comfortable with the tools, took a few weeks, took a few months. I don't know how he would assess the process. I know he really liked looking through the camera, but there were times when we found looking at the scene next to the camera and not looking through the viewing system was actually deceptive. It actually looked darker than it did on the monitor. So you come back and look on the monitor and go, oh, we're okay, it looks good. And there was, by eye, you were looking and go, there can't be anything there.
Mm-hmm. And the S2 technology, was that technology mature when you did those commercials? Has it been around, just no one's tried it for a while?
No, it's been around. Initially it was a little cumbersome. We designed a lot of stuff for it, the auto slating feature, and the way that we work with it, and the ability to delete stuff, so that if you get halfway through a take and you just go, this is a disaster, and the car just drove through, and the background actors are staring at the camera, and you can just delete the take, just go, burn that, get rid of it, let's start again. And yeah, with the way that Steve Roach and I've worked, and Wayne, who does the data capture, the way that we've kind of configured the system, it's very fast and very flexible for what we want to do, and it's only going to get faster and more flexible. It's actually in the next generation actually become portable. It was a process, that digital has gotten, I think, a really bad name, mostly because I think that there are a lot of rental houses that don't understand film, who are video rental houses who carry the Viper. And, they want a $900 a day digital interface technician who basically lays cable. And that's going to give the whole process a bad name. But when you can actually talk to film people and you actually get, when we were actually able to place the Vipers at the camera house and we were able to deal with, you know, here's what I need. I don't need all this stuff. I don't want backups of all this. What I want is for the stuff to work first time, every time. And I want it to be cabled effectively. And, you know, there are just things about the Viper that needed some working out. There's no reason to have their $5,000, $9,000 proprietary 26-pin cable that's so easily crushed underfoot, hanging off the back of the thing, when two BNC cables, which, you know, I can have 3,000 meters of BNC on a spool in the van and cut as many lengths as I need. If I just need two of those to go out to the S2, that's all I need. That's all I want. You know, Thomson built the camera to function in a certain way. You know, one of the things that they had built in was that when you played back from the S2, the signal would be sent back down to the eyepiece for the camera operator to view it. And now, I don't know in what line of work that's valuable, but in what we do, you know, if the camera operator's not coming over to the monitor to talk with me, I don't know what we're doing between takes. You know, it doesn't make any sense that that guy lives on an island by himself. And there's a lot of functionality that was just silly. So when we were able to sort of parrot that away over a year and get down to what we really needed, and you know, hopefully in the next iteration we'll get down to less than what we really need.
And, you know, with the sort of, we're having a little flurry here of films and different workflow approaches, you know, being shot with digital cameras and Michael Mann and Brian Singer and all these guys.
Yeah.
Did you go seek those guys out? Did you talk to them? Did you try to find out their workflow? Did they seek you out, try to find out your workflow? Or,
no.
You know, you're all doing your own thing?
No, I mean, we talked to Warner Bros. We know pretty much the workflow on Superman, and I know a lot of people we interfaced with from Thomson. We're talking about what they did on Collateral, and you know, we sort of built it around, you know, I mean, I come from commercial, so I've done all that tape stuff, and you know, we just weren't interested in that.
And this notion of being able to delete takes on set and the digital slate and all that, was that complex for them to design that into the system, or they just hadn't thought of it before? No, well, they had the attitude that a lot of people have, which is that, you know, that all takes are worth saving. And for some reason, you just go, well, not when you shoot as many takes as I do. You know, one of the things that we never sort of counted on was the look on the actor's face when you go, you know what, delete that. Let's do another one. I never kind of took that into account. But I also think that, you know, we were able to move so quickly. There were probably, out of 22 weeks, there were probably 12 weeks, 14 weeks. We never put up a movie line. You know, I mean, we just used negative fill and, you know, turned off some fluorescent fixtures. And I mean, there were some major efficiencies in that respect, you know, because you're shooting at 400 ASA, you know, depending on what time of day. But 400 ASA at a 1.6, we shot a 1.6, 1.8 almost the entire time. So we were moving so quickly. And one of the things that the S2 allows you is you can almost sort of hit the ground rehearsing. And you get the camera in position and start kind of like, we'll try walking over here and try doing that, and okay, record, and you know, that sucks, delete that, let's go over. And the fact that the actors never see a magazine being taken off the camera, you know, you save 25, 30 minutes a day not having slates. I don't care what anybody says. Plus, you never reload. I mean, if you have 33 minutes, you almost, in any given setup, you almost never reload. I think you probably reloaded, you know, 10 times over the course of 120 days. Robert Downey Jr. said to me, he goes, I've never worked this hard. He said, I'm on my feet 12 hours a day. I like that. And how did the notion of backing up to data tape, how does that all work, and what is the usefulness of the data tape? Is it just for the DI, basically later to go back to the original data, or how does that work? Well,
yeah, I mean, the DMAG collects everything in your 444 space, and then you have to back it up. You have to have a copy, you have to archive something. And we were able to sort of assuage a lot of both studios' fears about the digital process, because we were able to clone simultaneously to two LTO3s, so that one LTO3 could come over in a pouch to Warner Brothers and be stored there, and another one would be stored with us. material that we have online here on our 35 terabytes is not 444 data. I think it's not even 4. I mean, it's 422 compressed, like it's DVC Pro HD. So it's great to cut with, and you might be able to do preview screenings, but you know, you wouldn't take this material and do a DI suite. You would reconform off the LTOs. And so it's like having two NICs. It's funny, you know, studios, their response was oftentimes surreal. It's like, well, who's going to take this digital media from the set to get it cloned? It's like the same totally underpaid PAs who normally take your film from the set in the middle of the night to the lab, but now they're going to take an Anvil case that has a DMAG in it. They're going to take it back to the editing room. So, you know, it's just that. It's getting people to wrap their minds around change. But it's all the same stuff. It just, you know, quite honestly, requires fewer people, which is great. You know, a lot of people freak out about that and go, well, that just means fewer people are going to be employed. And you go, no, it just means more movies can be made. The same people will be employed, but we can make more movies now.